What's going on, guys? It's your boy Random Guy Kev, and this is Thoughts of a Random Guy. We talk about many things dealing with love, dating, relationships, adulting, life's ups and downs, and the ever evolving world of just being a human. Don't forget to check me out on all your favorite social media platforms at Random Guy Kev and my website at randomguykev.com. Today's topic is mental health in the workplace, and my co host for this episode is.
What's up, guys? My name is Eric Cummins, or some of you guys might know me as Punk.
Hello, thank you for joining me for this episode. And for this episode, I mean, I've talked about self care with a couple people before, and self care ties into mental health in the workplace because if you don't care about yourself, then things won't get better at all. I think mental health in the workplace started to be more of a thing during COVID. Um, well, kind of, yeah, kind of during COVID because everybody was kind of working from home, and that quote unquote was their workspace. So it became more of a hey, are you okay? Let's make sure you're okay before we move forward with anything. And before that, motherfuckers didn't care. Motherfuckers didn't care how they treated you, what was going on in your life. It was just like more of a, yeah, you could take a day off and
Yeah, I
yeah, get
feel
right
like,
back on it.
yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like before COVID, it was more of, because nothing had interrupted anything like COVID did. So it felt like before it was just kind of status quo.
Yep.
Like everybody is in their stride, their routine, in their bullshit. And then COVID dropped. And then a lot of people had to make changes. A lot of people had to like upend their lives, all kinds of shit. So like, yeah, it was obviously it was a stressful time. Regardless of like political affiliation, it was a big inconvenience for everybody. So like having to change all of that is a huge disruption to someone's routine, someone's life, and livelihood. So
When did you realize like, okay, workplace balance matters? When did you realize that?
Um, I wouldn't say it's when I realized it. It's because it's an ongoing boundary I find myself having to make. Prior, it was, you had this mentality of wanting to work hard to advance yourself up. And then you'd find out, like wherever it is that you're working, it can become increasingly difficult. You feel like your worth isn't as what you thought it was, in the work that you
Mm-hmm.
put in and the reward system that comes out. And again, I feel like COVID really exacerbated that and what incited change. So I would say that it's an ongoing boundary I find, and the company that I worked for then is not who I work for now,
Mm-hmm.
and now that I work more predominantly for myself, I find that work balance and mental health is it's a lot more difficult because of how much it encompasses your own personal life because it's your own personal investment. So that division of mental health in the workplace and a work life relationship all comes down to then learning a new skill of organization, and that can be a huge undertaking in and of itself. So it's like a what's the best way I could say it? Like stuff you can't learn in school.
Yeah, and for me, it's just learning to say no to certain things, and we talked about just saying no before. And when it comes to self-care, work-life balance is a huge thing. I feel like you don't really learn about work-life balance. Like you said, you don't learn about it in school, but like when you start working at jobs that you're getting stressed out from and you're feeling overwhelmed, then somebody hits you with that, hey, do you disconnect from work and go home and do you? And a lot of people, no, that's something we don't learn. When I started working corporate America, I learned that very quick on work-life balance. You guys are not hitting me up after hours. I don't got time for that. Y'all don't pay me enough for this. Y'all not gonna stress me out on my free time. This is my
Right.
time now. Um, and it's not for you. I'm not giving it up to you
Mm,
just to do some work that I can do in the office when I get there tomorrow.
yeah.
Goodbye. So
Well,
like, Go ahead.
And it's also too like when it comes to like with social media, we're on our phones so much, and you can now connect with your employer through your phone via some like workplace app or
Mm-hmm.
Workday or Teams or whatever third party app you're communicating through. And because like you may have somebody who you work with that you drop memes back and forth all day, but as soon as like when it comes to work time, there is that workplace barrier, but then they're still looking for an answer and you guys are still talking, but that work life balance needs to be upheld. That boundary needs to be, respected. So it
Yep.
can create this, uh, it could create this leniency in your boundary where it's like, well, we're already talking, so like we might as well just get it over with. And my wife gets after me all the time because there's times where I'm responding to messages that have that are important at like 8, 9 o'clock at night because we're all on the internet and we're all checking messages and
We all have
whatnot,
access
and
to each other.
we all have just unbridled access to each other. So like what would have been a faux pas of like, oh shit, I tried calling him at 6 o'clock in the evening, and that technically that's after hours. You can't call business after hours. No one's gonna answer the phone.
Yeah.
So like because we all have access to each other and we're all constantly surfing, doom scrolling, all it just creates this whole other environment, and it's any wonder why mental health is a topic now, because I find myself, uh, an unhealthy relationship, and I mean, and we're talking about mental health, so I really want to be vulnerable with it, but like an unhealthy amount of time connected to what people are saying, discords, you name it, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the toll it's taking on my mental health. I don't like what it's doing, and I'm just now becoming like third party aware of it, like looking at yourself from a third person perspective and being like, yo, you're in a loop, dude. You need to, I found myself this morning. I got to the work this morning and I found myself immediately having anxiety. I'm like, you have a list of shit you need to do and like disassociate. And I'm like, nope, hey, whoa, get, like, I had to like point myself back on track. Like, no, dude, and it, so yeah, it's a really slippery slope to you, like, you don't even notice that you're doing it sometimes when you're not respecting that boundary.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I think we had this conversation before about disconnecting and setting like a do not disturb
Mm-hmm.
for specific applications because, again, like you said, we're always connected. My job is essentially mobile technologies, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm always on the phone. I
Right.
have 12 phones that I have for different work per each one serves a different purpose for work. So when
You have how
people
many
like
phones?
I have like about 12 phones
Get the
and
what?
like two iPads, two MacBooks.
I can't. Dude, I have one phone, one iPad. I've got.
But
I
they're
don't.
but they're
I
for
don't.
work. So
Yeah, that's what yeah.
during my working hours, okay, these motherfuckers are on, they're in front of me, whatever. After my working hours, I don't give a fuck. These bitches are all on silent. I keep it pushing.
Yeah.
Like you guys are gonna get me in the morning when I clock back in. Not when I clock back in. When I turn my laptop back on to see what issues are happening.
Yeah.
Because again, being in IT, people feel like they should have unlimited access to you because you're supposed to help them with
Mm-hmm.
everything that they need.
Yeah.
When I worked at a law firm, the amount of times I would get calls after hours is ridiculous. And I'm like, do I answer these or do I? At first, I would answer them. And then it came to a point where I said, fuck this shit. I'm not answering anything. You catch me during working hours. And then I would get like a text from my manager, like, hey, Kevin, so and so reached out to me because they couldn't get to you. I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
The fuck you want me to do?
that was
Like, you don't
that
pay
was
me
by
enough to
design.
work 24/7. Like I'm on my time now. Like fuck off.
Yeah.
And I let it be known like, hey, after these hours, don't reach out to me. I'm if it's something urgent where a server or something goes down, cool, I'll check it out. But if it's something minor, catch me the next day. Catch me on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that. And like Mike, like you said, creating a boundary. But sometimes, your job doesn't respect that boundary.
Yeah.
They don't respect that boundary of, hey, I need time for myself. I got shit going on. My head's not in the right space. I can't help you. But jobs would be like, hey, nah, no, you gotta, well, nope, nope, you gotta come in. We need your help. Da 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 da. No, you can fucking go kill yourself because I'm not.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, that's I don't yeah, and I can't speak to that because I've never worked in tech. I've always worked in like the physical labor market,
Mhm,
and that I feel like was, unless we're like trying to get something planned, if we're like, hey, we're going to be showing up to work at like this time instead of this time,
mhm,
and it was like a last minute deal, or depending on whatever the situation was. I worked in government contracting, so it was government contracts and they had to be upheld like on the dot, so like it didn't matter what, like if you needed to be there at 3, you had to be there at 3 because that's what time the job was. So
yeah,
outside of that, it really, I can say that that's the part I miss about having that 9 to 5, and I guess I'm on the opposite end of that, looking from a different perspective. But sometimes I miss that,
mhm,
being able to just have that disconnect. When I'm off work, I'm off work.
mhm.
Whereas you've got 12 goddamn phones, and you work in IT where like somebody else who doesn't have a work life relationship boundary and they're working at 3 a.m. They're like, oh, I need to talk to the IT guy right now, like, and send him an email, and it needs to get, whatever their job is, and
Yeah, I
it's
mean, for me personally, I adjust my schedule for whichever region I need to assist more.
mhm.
So say if I have to assist China or Japan more, or one of those offices, I'll change my hours. Like, I'll start my day later on and end it later on.
Yeah.
But again, it's within that, 7 to 8 hour time frame. Yeah, that's what you get me in.
Hmm.
That's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
Period.
Even when I have to train a couple people that they live in Thailand or India or something like that, like, okay, let me adjust my hours because I know their day starts at 8 p.m. East
Hmm.
Coast. So I have to start with them at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So let me adjust my hours to,
Yep.
compensate, fall in with them. But again, I've always created a boundary where like I'm not doing that. And I've had managers kind of like disrespect that boundary. And I told them straight up, like, leave me the fuck alone.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like when my sister died in 2017, um, man, damn, was it 2017? Wow, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
But like when my sister and my dad died, I've had incidents where I had bereavement, quote unquote bereavement. Um, but motherfuckers would still hit me up at the same time, like, hey
Mm.
Kevin, hey, I'm sorry to call you at this time. I know you're going through stuff, but we need your help with, yeah, fuck no.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Not
Hang up
only
the
no,
phone.
but fuck off no.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's like, again, that's why, like, sometimes in IT we don't have certain companies don't have redundancy. So like if I'm the primary, there should always be a backup. And if the backup don't know, shit, you're gonna have to leave that shit until I come back. It is what it is. But that's how most IT companies should work. But when I was working at the law firms, they kind of didn't respect your time. They didn't respect anything you did because you were in IT, and it was just like, oh no, you're supposed to be available for the amount of money we're paying you. No,
Hmm.
you're not paying me enough to be available 24 fucking 7 and be your slave.
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
fuck no.
That's when it comes down to like that difference between hourly and salary. Is that
Hmm.
when I was hourly and then I moved into management and was more on the planning side, we had you had to be on call 24/7, and that was the nature of the job
Yeah, yeah.
because your salary. So like
Yep.
you're basically just, and that's the dangerous part of salary, man.
They just put, but that's an assumption they just put out there though. You
Yeah.
don't have to be.
Right. It becomes really hard, and
Hmm.
and that's like, if I could just give anybody any, like, if you're in a salary job, like, sound off, like, tell me if I'm full of shit, but like some jobs that are salary, they you don't have that disconnect because they feel they can justify it because of how much you get paid, when
Hmm.
really the payment comes from your skill set.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like maybe, unless it's in a contract somewhere and I'm full of shit, but
I mean, look at doctors.
yeah.
They're constantly working. Like they don't have a set schedule. Yeah, they're supposed to work from nine. So let's example 9 to 5, but they're not working 9 to 5. They're
Yeah.
working some crazy hours because they gotta do these medical things for people, and sometimes they have double shifts, and it's like, bitch, what the fuck is a double shift as a doctor?
Yeah. Man, and that's so sometimes like that it puts it in perspective where I'm just like, do I have the right to complain about anything? But at the
Yeah,
same time,
people in the medical profession.
but
That shit
yeah,
is
I'm
weird.
like these people in the medical profession, bless their fucking hearts, man. Like they got it hard, and then on top of that, you got people saying they're all lizard people and they're after your stem cells and it's all a conspiracy and
It's all a
it's
conspiracy.
all fake and
Yeah.
everybody's it's all planned and doctor what it's
So,
just man
yeah, so like
shut the fuck up.
creating that work life balance, and you know remembering that your mental health matters, because I feel like a lot of times we get complacent in a space where it's like, I know my mental health matters, but I still have to do my work and I have to catch up on this. I have to do this.
Mm.
Yo, fuck your job, because if you were to leave, they would immediately replace you
Yeah.
without fault. Like, they don't give a fuck. So focus on your mental health, because a lot of companies now have they do provide mental health services. So they'll provide you a therapist or someone to help you out if you're going through things. Like my job, our plan allows for 16 sessions with a therapist a year.
Mm.
16 sessions with a therapist. Listen,
that's
I I,
that's
I
roughly like once every 3.5 weeks,
I literally,
which
since
is
we
yeah.
got it, I've been using it. Like, we've got
Damn,
it
bro.
when I started working at the company. I think we just got it when I started working at the company like 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And listen, I use that. Why not?
Oh yeah.
The free, it's part of our package. They pay for it, and I talk to my therapist at least once a month, once or twice a month, and keep
Mm-hmm.
it pushing. Like, my life is that not that extraordinary where I have to talk to my therapist weekly. At one point, I was um, talking to my therapist weekly because I was going through shit.
Right.
That's with my family and stuff. But after they did what they needed to do, taught me tools and stuff like that, it turned into like, every other week, then once a month, and then like, all right, we're on 6 months, we're off 3 months, we're back on 6 months,
Mm.
type thing, just to see how things are going. I love talking to my therapist, and that helps me with my mental health. I could talk to my friends, I could talk to people around me,
Right.
but it's always cool getting that outside perspective on you and
Right.
how to improve you, and like somebody that you could just talk to, and they don't really know you, but they know enough about you to be like, okay, that doesn't make sense.
Well,
Like,
and they also study behavior.
yeah.
They are trained. Hopefully, they're
Hmm.
it
Some therapists are trained, not all of
right.
them.
So, trained to study human behavior. So that
Hmm.
way, when you are having a situation, it falls under an aisle of behavioral type, and you can learn things about somebody's past by the way they act now based on patterns from other humans throughout, our time. And um, having that ability, that disconnect of knowing somebody and you telling them your patterns, and then they can kind of guide you through
Guide,
it
yep.
where
Hmm.
you're in it. And I use this analogy that like when you're in your situation and you're in your issue, you're in your problem, it's like watching the grass grow. You don't
Hmm.
notice it's growing in front of you because it's so slow, it's so gradual. And it
Hmm.
isn't until like you remove yourself from your bullshit and then you come back like 2 weeks later and you look at the grass and you're like, oh fuck, it grew fast. What happened? What
Yeah.
happened? You like,
Word.
and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, like that perspective change or that environment change can
Hmm.
be. And that's why vacations are so important. And that's
Yep.
why, because it allows you to have that break away from your bullshit to see how much, and you can take inventory better. And yeah, it's a trip, man. Like, I believe in it, and
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
myself am also trying to get back into therapy myself, and I don't have. Unfortunately, I don't have a because I used to work for a place that used to pay for it, but when you take the leap and you try and do your own thing, you that kind of
Yeah.
stuff is not easily accessible. So I'm learning that now.
No, I get you. And it's and that's the thing. It's like as long as you're using the tools that were provided to you to get you in the right space, that's all that kind of matters.
Hmm.
And then like not allowing your workplace to dictate how you should be handling your mental health, what you should be doing with your mental health and things of that nature, because that shit can crush you in like 2.5 seconds. And
Oh, yeah.
like
Hmm.
working at the working at the law firm, motherfuckers committed suicide because it was just so much going on.
Hmm.
And then when I hear people commit suicide over their job, I'm like, bruh, god damn, that sucks.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking, man.
That
I hate that.
sucks.
As somebody who is that's been a huge issue for themselves, myself,
Mhm.
and it's that sucks, man, because yeah, you how stressful um that can be on somebody. And it might not be for you, it might not be for the next person, but somebody else it could be just too much.
Yeah,
And to like erase their erase themselves because of that stress, that's holy shit, man.
bro, that shit is scary.
It's sad.
Yeah,
It's heartbreaking, man.
to get your mind to that point of feeling like you don't belong somewhere anymore is like,
Uh-huh.
damn. And it was the job that got you there,
Mm-hmm.
bruh. You didn't take enough time for yourself to disconnect, and that's why I say, fucking use your PTO. Get the fuck up out of there. Like, take your vacations because we only get so many days to live, and these jobs don't give a fuck about us.
No.
A lot of these jobs don't go. Use your fucking PTO. They will replace you in 2.5 seconds. Like care about yourself over everything. Um, and that's why like I always tell my friends like, yo, minimum travel at least twice a year, minimum, whether it be one being local and one being out of country. Just twice a year. Just get out. Even if
Yeah.
it's a staycation, you're booking a hotel in a town over or some shit.
Yeah.
Like for me, like going to the city, booking a hotel for the weekend, or going to Philly or going to Atlantic City. Then book a hotel for the weekend and kick it,
God, that sounds like fun. To be honest with
bruh.
you, that sounds like fun.
I mean, sometimes you just got to disconnect. Even like for you, like you can go into what's close to you, Seattle.
Hmm.
Yeah, going to Seattle. I mean,
Yeah.
Seattle's kind of not that fun, but
No, it's not. It's no.
you
Like
could.
my wife and I, we've been trying to like get out, but and that this kind of goes into that family part of mental health, of
Hmm.
like caretaking and end of life care and things like that, which
Yeah.
plays into it. But like, yeah, that whole work balance and that life balance and trying to get yourself to escape for even a weekend is you can find yourself difficult because again, and I'm gonna tie it back down to like social media, is that because we're always connected to something, it's hard for us to disconnect in a way that we need to give ourselves that break,
Hmm.
because even if we're on there, we're still on. We're even if we're not close to work, we're on our phones, and it's just what an effect it absolutely has.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, and I agree about that. So like it's just one of those things. I try my best to disconnect from my phone
Hmm.
and don't let internet situations make you feel some type of way. Like world situations don't make you feel discouraged or anything. Work like work is going to be back. Work could be there tomorrow when you come back.
Yeah,
It's
it'll
fine.
be waiting for
Like
you.
it
Promise.
it'll be there. Like you don't need to stress over it. And like that's most times I disconnect. But like if I'm sitting at my home desk and I have my laptop open, cool. I'll check email real quick. Let me respond to this. Oh, Kevin, you still working late? No, I'm not working. Don't. I'm responding back to you. I'm not working. I'm just doing me.
Yeah.
But don't let it get to you. Just try to be as positive as you have to be and that you want to be, but separate your work and your life.
Yeah.
You have to move forward. As you get older, you have to. And you'll hear it on and on like, Hey, work-life balance, work-life balance. What does that mean? What does it mean? Work-life balance. Separate that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get your mental right, and move from there. Is there anything you want to leave people with as we come to the end of this episode?
Um, the one thing, as somebody who's also just learning to create boundaries, is to not be that it's that cliche of not being afraid to say no. I
Mm-hmm.
just yesterday I had to have a conversation, my sister understood. You know, it's not like she was taken back or shocked that I was like, hey, I need to be able to work on what I need to work on. And to my surprise, she was like, "Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like you need to work on that. Like that's important." And
Yeah.
I didn't give my like I didn't even could like give her the grace of thinking that she would have had my back. I would
Yeah.
just would have assumed it would have been a problem. So that saying no is important. And if anybody else is listening and they're having a hard time or they find themselves in very similar situations as this is, it's the hardest to say no. But then once you do it, you'll realize that difficulty came from you and not the people that you thought it would be a problem. And
Mm.
the people that care about you want you to say no sometimes, because um,
Yes.
they yeah, the people who love you and you say and you put up a boundary and they respect that, you ain't got nothing to worry about, man. That person loves you, so that's what's up.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you said, and like, yeah, set up them boundaries. Say no. Focus on your mental health. S-
Mm,
Fuck your job sometimes. I get it, you get paid from that job, but like sometimes you just gotta be like, yeah, nah, y'all not intruding on my space today.
nope.
But that is it for this episode. You guys can find me on all social media platforms at Random Guy Kev and my website at randomguykev.com. Don't forget to check in, and I will catch you guys on the next one.